Now we need to get ready for the liner. So let me move some stuff around here. First thing you want to do is take a measurement. So make sure your bag's laid out correctly. Now we want to measure from the top all the way down around the base and back around to the other side. So I'm going to do it this way. So from the top and then all the way around, flip it over to the other side is minus 20 inches. I'm going to add another inch, so I will cut 21 inches that way. And then get it all laid out again. You want to do across this way a measurement. Mine is almost 14 inches, so I'm going to cut an inch too. I'm going to add 15. So I will cut a piece that is 21 by 15 of your fabric. So here's my fabric. So that's what you want to do. That's how you take your measurements. It's pretty easy to take the measurements. And then you just measure your fabric and cut it. So I'm going to measure I measured mine. I added an inch to this side measurement and an inch to the one that you go. Remember, you got to go all the way around and include the base all the way to the other side and add an inch to that. So mine's 21 by 14 after I added my inches. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my piece of fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cut. I got my fabric cut, and you can see that it hangs over at the top and on the sides. And that's fine because it gives you a little leeway to be able to sew it together. But what we're going to do when we sew it is flip it wrong side out, so we don't see no seams or anything like that. That looks funky on the other side. Now you can hand sew this. What you do is you take some matching thread and a needle and hand sew all the way up both sides. I'm going to use a sewing machine. I'm just going to sew it straight up the sides. Now go in. I'll show you a little bit on the hand sewing. What you do is once you get it all straight, you just notch your yarn or your thread the same way, get a good matching thread, and you just would go through. Actually you probably want to leave about 1/4 of an inch hanging over on the side, on each side, and then you'd go back down. Hand sewing does take a lot of patience. That's why I'm going to use the sewing machine, because you will have to hand sew the top too. But if you don't have a sewing machine, that's fine. I've hand sewed plenty of bags, so it's doable. And then you kind of just try to keep it in line. Come back up. And then back down. And remember, you want to leave about 1/4 of an inch or so on each side. Well, it came out, but that's how you do it. Just up and down, all the way up this side, and then all the way up this side. Okay, I got both of my sides sewed up, and you could probably clearly see that I am not near as good with a sewing machine as I am a crochet hook, but that is okay. So what we need to do now is, since we got our side sewed up, since our bag has a flat bottom, we're going to make a spot for that. So we're going to go ahead and bring our bag over here, and we need to measure the bottom part and see how big it is. It is 2 inches. So we're going to take our bottom piece here. Here's the top. It's not sewn up. Here's the bottom. And we're going to kind of just take it and grab a corner like this. To where we get 2 inches. Kind of like this. You see what I'm doing here? So that's kind of what you're doing. If you look on the other side, it's got to fiddle with it so you get it just about right. So we measure 2 inches, since that's how big our base was. And that's where we need to sew, right there at that 2-inch line. So we just sew right across at the 2-inch line. So you can do that by hand also, or you can do a quick zip with your sewing machine. And then you want to do the exact same thing on this other corner. You just grab it. I just have trouble getting it apart. And just pull it out like this until your point reaches 2 inches across. And then you sew that up. Okay, I've got my corners sewed up like that. So that's kind of what it looks like. Now you can clip these off if you want, or you can leave them on. I usually cut mine right before the sewing there. You don't have to. Well, you can touch it. I mean, it ain't going to make a difference. So there's that. So now we have a flat bottom. So now what we're going to do is put this into our bag. But I'm going to show you when we flip it right side out how nice and neat it looks. So we got our flat bottom there on both sides. Well, pop it out, but that's how that is done. If you do a lot of bags, I do would recommend investing in a sewing machine. You don't have to get a real expensive one, especially if you want to line them all, because having to sew them up by hand is, I mean, I've done it plenty of times, but I try to use a sewing machine whenever possible. So now what we're going to do is take our bag. So I flipped it wrong side out again, and we're going to put it in our bag like that. So we want to make sure we tuck those corners in. Now we are going to have some excess on the top, and that's fine because we're going to pin all that down, and that all has to be hand sewn at the top. So I'm just going to work with it a little bit like this and get it all, those corners down in there straight. Try to get everything to lay flat as possible. And now we're going to do a lot of pinning and sewing, which is not my favorite thing to do, but we're going to do it because you have to do it at the top. So I'm going to take some pins here, and I'm just going to work around now. What I'm going to do is fold my piece like this. I'll just show you this way, I guess. Make sure it's all in there straight. Okay, I think that's better. So, I'm going to take my pins and I'm going to flip down the sides like that and pin it across the top. And you want to try to get it pinned as straight as you can. You know, just kind of follow a row of crochet there. Try to keep it the same all the way around so it looks pretty straight. but we're going to pin it all the way around like this. Just make sure you fold that top edge down so it's not all ratty looking. You know, when you sew it, it'll look nice and clean. You do that all the way around, and then you flip this side like this and do the same. Flip it down and flip the corners down, and you just go around and get it all pinned down, and then I'll show you how we hand sew that in. Alright, I got it pinned down pretty good. So now I'm going to start just sewing it up. So you just want to pick a good matching thread. I'm just using the same dark brown that I use for the handles. You can start anywhere you want. Probably just start in a corner somewhere. And what we're going to do is try to get a good angle to show you, is just go through the bottom first. Don't go all the way like from here. Go just from underneath the stitch. And then go through like that. And now we're just going to sew it up and keep our stitches as neat as possible. Now I'm not going all the way through the piece. I'm only kind of going through the stitch like that. Like kind of like the top part of the stitch. I'm not going all the way back through the back because you don't want to see your stitches. And then you go back up. Try to keep your stitches in line. And this is what we have to do though, all the way around the bag. You can take your pins out as you go. So I'm going to go over again. Now remember to not go all the way through, and just kind of grab top of the stitches here and come out. And then go back through. Keep it lined up with, try to keep them evenly spaced and lined up as, you know, just to make them look pretty, as neat as you can. Back through again. I'm going to go ahead and take that pin out because it's kind of in my way. You just take the pins out as you go, as they kind of get in your way. Go through. Don't go all the way through. Just kind of grab the tops of the stitches there. Like that. And this is what I'm going to do the whole way around. So I'm going to keep on chucking till I get it all sewed on just like this. That's what it starts to look like. I'm going to work this all the way around until I get back to where I started. Alright, now once you get it all finished, getting it all sewed up, there it is. It's finished. Now since it's lined and it's, even though it's made of acrylic, you can still carry stuff in it and it won't stretch out. So that's always nice to line when you line acrylic bags, because acrylic's a little bit weaker. So doing this makes it where it's not going to stretch out. So I think it turned out nice. I really love brown. It's my favorite color. I love this. I'm gonna have to, I love roses. Much better than the brown roses, the cream roses. Beautiful. Very pretty fabric. Yeah, I think it turned out good. I'm happy with it. So if you like this, remember, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook. I'll put a link to that below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you look up in the upper left-hand corner right now, you'll see my face. If you click on my face, you automatically be subscribed and you'll never miss any of my updates. And until next time, have a good day.